Hello, I'm Dr. Basil Constein. I'm here from the ACU Online Writing Center, and today we're going to talk about how to write a scripted speech in APA style. This is one of our webinars that looks at a specific task that is found in many programs, many course curriculums, where you are preparing a presentation and you need to do more than just give the presentation off the cuff. You need to show us your notes, show us how you've planned it out. And this is a very helpful exercise for making sure that you stay on task, that you say the things you need to, in the depth you need to, in the space you are allowed, and that you don't go over time, you don't omit things, you don't lose details. So we'll talk about that more as we look at the specifics for this particular assignment. If you're new to the Online Writing Center, we work with students at many different contact points, and we work with students in just about all of ACU Online, or ACU Dallas if you prefers programs. We have webinars such as this where we explore certain topics, assignments, tasks, things like APA style. We also have appointments where you can schedule a time to get feedback on a draft. You can either have an asynchronous appointment, meaning you schedule a time, by the time rolls around, you send us your draft, we look at it, we send you feedback, generally within 24 hours. If you're doing it on the 4th of July, that is a holiday, so maybe a little bit longer, but we'll get it to you in time to review the feedback before you submit when the paper is due. And the alternate choice there is to have a real-time appointment, either phone or Zoom, where when your appointment comes around, you also send us a copy of your paper, and then you join us either on the phone or in a Zoom session. And which you choose is really a matter of what you think would be best for you at that particular point. We have some people who are more visual learners, so they really like to see things, and other people where they like to just talk about the words, the concepts, and that helps them focus more if they're not looking at the visuals. And it may vary for you depending on what stage you are in your assignment. So either is fine, and pick the one that you think will work best for you at that time, place, and assignment. We also have on our website a complete catalog of webinar recordings. We have paper templates to help with the formatting. We have guides to various topics, lots of stuff there. So to schedule an appointment, you're going to start by going to my.acu.edu. That is to say, you will be going to log into the my.acu.edu system, and then in the links resources drop-down, you can select Online Writing Center, and then we have step-by-step instructions, how-to video, all that stuff that will get you to the scheduling system and show you what your different options are. Once you've scheduled an appointment, it will show you a link, or two links actually, that you can use to upload your paper. If you have 2 appointments in a week, you'd use one link for one assignment and one link for whatever you're doing for the second appointment. And then, again, once your appointment time rolls around, we'll look at things and send you feedback, generally within 24 hours. Now, something I want to call your attention to is that on our webinars page, we have a lot of webinars, but we are sorting them by the program and labeling them with the courses and the assignments that they tie in. So for example, if you're taking APCO 421, you will see that there is a tie-in here for the week 1 assignment 1, and there's also a tie-in for the week 2 assignment 1. So if you're enrolled in one of these courses, we do update this guide as the webinar recordings become available. So you'll always find the tab guide having the latest, greatest, whatever is available now should be there. So if you're watching this in one of our other programs, if you see your program on the list, well, we got stuff for you. You'll see me referring to the APA course paper template later. That's the top link here. We have our YouTube channel where we post videos for easy access on the go, and again, a blog where we explore various related topics. So our main objective today is we're going to look at the APCO 422 Week 1 Assignment 1, Ethical Implications of Healthcare Policies and Regulation. And we'll talk specifically about how to cite some of the key sources using this assignment. And we'll talk about how to outline, to draft, and format this. Now this assignment does have 2 components. You're making a video, and you're also showing the transcript that you use with your notes, the script rather. The difference between a script and a transcript is probably worth exploring because we get a lot of questions about that. So the script is what guides what you say. The transcript is the record of what was actually said, which may or may not be the exact same thing. And sometimes the script just refers to the notes that you use, and you don't actually write out everything that you're going to say in advance. You can, but you are usually not required to, and you're not for this particular assignment. So let's take a look at this assignment. Now, I have slightly rearranged or reformatted the instructions to clarify what different portions of the assignment instructions are telling you, and whether it's kind of a big picture thing or here's a specific instruction for what you should do. And this particular one begins with an assignment preamble where it tells us the purpose of this. You're supposed to be talking about or relating introductory concepts in law and ethics that have practical applications within the healthcare professions. And we're specifically not just talking about them, but relating these things to what you would be doing in practice. And then we have the instructions. Okay, you will write a script and then create a video of yourself speaking with a hypothetical junior high school class. So people in roughly 6th to 8th grade, depending on what part of the country you're in. So hypothetical junior high school class on career day about ethics in the healthcare professions. Your script should be a tool that you can use to guide your speech. There should be 2 to 3 scholarly resources, in-text citations, and a reference page that follows APA format. So it's not, don't just give us a number of talking points. Tell us where those talking points are coming from, where they're grounded from. That's where the scholarly resources and in-text citations come in. Now we have a detailed list. In your script, please include talking points that address each prompt and has references to scholarly resources. So number 1, explain the difference between laws and ethics. 2, define the ethical principles of autonomy, beneficence, non-maleficence, and justice. Provide an example of an ethical issue and apply ethical principles to that issue. Explain the qualities of successful healthcare professionals as illustrated in the Judson textbook, and discuss how these qualities might help guide professionals in making ethical decisions. So that's telling you a specific source that you should be using and citing. And then the video that you create, it should be roughly 4 to 6 minutes in length, which you address the prompts and provide the script outlining your talking points. So basically, the instructions is saying make an outline that is of a level that you can follow it to make a 4 to 6 minute presentation. Show where the information in that outline is coming from via your parenthetical citations and references in the reference list. And then go ahead and make the video itself. Now, if you look at the rubric here, it's basically going through all the things listed in the instructions, saying, hey, have you done this? And then break down, well, if you did all of this, then you get full credit. And if you don't, you get less credit. So it's a dense table, but it's actually very straightforward. It's, have you done all the things asked? And are you fitting within the parameters, like 4 to 6 minutes of length? So if it's 3 minutes, it's a bit short. If it's 10 minutes, definitely long. And I just wanted to call attention to this last option. This is this last row in the rubric table. Student uses appropriate grammar, tone, volume, and pace in video recording. So what we don't want is someone who's reading like this, student uses appropriate grammar, tone, volume, and pace in video recording. That's hard to understand. It's too fast. Now, if you slow it way down because you have not prepared enough material, that is also not ideal either. So what we want to have is a measured pace where the listener can follow what you're saying and digest what you are telling them. So depending on what level of detail you have in your notes versus what level you will be elaborating on, just as a matter of course, this may lead to a longer or shorter script. But generally when people are reading a double-spaced page of paragraphs, 12-point font, 1-inch margins, all the stuff that you'd have in writing in APA style, you're going to have about 2 minutes per page. So if you're giving bullet points for things that you'll expand on, you are probably not going to have more than 2 pages, like 3 pages maximum of bullets. I would guess it's probably going to be somewhere 1.5 to 2 pages. because, again, fully written out paragraphs tends to be about 2 minutes per page. Bullet points that you expand on tends to be a little bit less as for that same amount of time because there's more filling. And just for ease of reading, I have taken the first column in the rubric and split it into this bulleted list so you can check and see, okay, have you discussed all of these? Now, let's talk about sources, because there are a number of readings for this. Starting with the Judson text, where there's that explicit instruction in the directions here that you should be referring to Judson. That's in the second to last bullet point. Explain the qualities of successful healthcare professionals as illustrated in the Judson textbook, and discuss how these qualities might help guide professionals in making ethical decisions. So that is something where it's telling you, oh, that's what you should be citing. So, well, let's make sure we've got that referenced and cited correctly. Now, the syllabus, we pasted that part of that at the top, plus the required readings for the module. The syllabus includes reference information with a little bit of extra. We don't need that ISBN. That's why I've crossed it out. The ISBN number is handy for ordering the book, not supposed to be in your references list in APA style. So cross that out. And although you're reading particular chapters here, keep in mind if it's a single author textbook, or actually single author text of any sort, you're just going to be doing Judson 2021 all the time. It's only if it's an edited volume where you'd have different authors and different citations and reference entries for the different chapters. So here, everything's going to be Judson 2021, possibly with a page number if you're quoting directly, but you're probably not doing a lot of direct quotes in such a short presentation. And there are even those web pages there. Okay, well, let's take a look at the ways you would cite that. Judson 2021, in parentheses, Judson 2021, if you're referring to it by name in the body of a sentence, like Judson, parentheses, 2021, close parentheses, said that, blah. So let's move on to the outlining and drafting stage. Now this is something where I recommend that you not only grab a copy of the template, but we spend a moment to think about how you're going to be developing your argument here. And in particular, how you're going to be developing your argument in the verbal presentation that you're giving. Because although it may not necessarily be exactly the same as if you'd written out as an essay, you do want to still be going ahead and making your claim, giving examples to support the claims that you're making, the evidence, analyzing it, synthesizing it together, and then wrapping up and moving on to the next topic. We've got a couple webinars that we strongly recommend that focus on that sort of analysis and synthesis, how to support your argument. Now, if we look back at this, at the instructions, we see that you're supposed to be speaking with a hypothetical junior high school class on career day about ethics in the healthcare professions. So you want to tell us things like, okay, what are these professions? What kind of concerns come up? And if we look at the bulleted list here, in exploring that, after we give that brief introduction, we have a couple talking points like, oh, how are laws and ethics different? And, briefly, laws are ones that have more explicit punishments, and ethics more implicit ones if you should violate them. And so that's the kind of thing where you talk about, okay, well, should you care about one or both or none? And then we have the rest of the bullet points. Okay, ethical principles of autonomy, etc. Examples of an ethical issue. So when you are planning this out, when you are looking at this, you see, okay, if we're going to have giving a claim, followed by evidence or argumentation for it. Well, if we look back at, let's say, the second bullet here, define the ethical principles of autonomy, etc. So we've got 4 principles to define. And then that's giving the evidence. You're probably going to have a topic sentence that says, these things are important, because if they weren't important, you wouldn't be talking about them. But, okay, after you have introduced them, define them. Tell us why or how knowing them was important and to whom. These things that just a lawyer is supposed to know, a judge, a healthcare practitioner. Yeah, you will be telling us that based on your reading. And, I should add, having supporting citations and their corresponding references. So at this point, let us go and grab a copy of the APA course paper template and see how we're going to start out here. So first off, go ahead and fill in the title of the paper, your name, other information like that. You can do that on your own time. Make sure that the title matches on both the title page and on the first page of the body. That's page 2. I'm just going to take out this placeholder text here. This is here to show you how the different formatting looks. This is going to be just descriptive of your talking points, so more concise. References, again, these are here to show you how these things look. We'll take that out for now. And let's just say that we are starting with that textbook because the instruction says we need to cite that textbook. So the instructions from the syllabus here, and go ahead and paste them here. Alright, so we have just the instructions here pasted here to give us a framework to look at and see, here's what you need to do. Now we can go ahead and just cross off this part here because we're basically fulfilling the things above for this portion. So we'll go ahead and cross it off so we don't need to stare at it. And here's another saying, do everything's in the prompt. Alright, same deal, we can cross it off to focus our views. Alright, so we have as illustrated in the Judson textbook. So I don't know what you'll end up writing here, but I do know that to cite the Judson textbook, we're going to have a Judson 2021 in there somewhere. So we know that's going to go in there, so we know we should have a reference entry here. Now when you paste it in, it might look like this, where we have a tab indent instead of a hanging indent. Not a problem. Go ahead and select that, and we'll go up on the Styles pane. We'll select APA reference, and now it properly has a hanging indent. It happens to fit on one line, so we're not going to see that. But we'll go ahead and add those italics in to make sure. We have our author, publication year, title of the book, the edition, and the name of the publisher. No city and state. That went away with APA 6th edition. We're on APA 7th edition now. Okay, so looking at this, as you go through the different readings, you will see that some of them will align with things like this. And so when you do, well, go ahead and start giving us some sub-bullets, but also include a parenthetical citation saying, hey, I got this from this reading, because that will give you a list of things to do, things to talk about. Now, the next step is going to be formatting that as a script. And so let's talk a little bit about how headings work in APA style. So we have various levels of heading, and if you have a narrow screen, you might not see this here, but you should see the Styles pane button to bring out this list of the different headings. So here, let's say we have our sub-law ethics, their differences, the things that you will be talking about here. But we want to turn this into a heading. Well, the first level of a heading in a document is APA Level 1. Now we want to make sure that this has all the things we need, and if we're going to be explaining it, we don't really need the word explain here in the heading itself. We can just make this the difference between laws and ethics, and now we know what that section is about. And it's more concise than if we'd had the word explain spelled out. And you can look at that and say, okay, well, here's how I break it down. And it's not going to be super long, but, at least a paragraph. And we can take the other main bullets and say, okay, that is going to be our basis for the headings here. To organize it, if you're showing slides, you might have a slide with the title being each of these. But we're going to make some changes here because this is the script. So this is telling you what you're talking about, but you need the bullets or talking points underneath that. So if we look at this, we see, okay, the qualities of successful healthcare professionals. Okay, so as illustrated in the Johnson textbook, which of course you'd be citing, and then list, okay, how these qualities might help guide professionals. So those are two things to expand on. That's probably going to be, a paragraph each, maybe. So you can have lots of subpoints. Keeping in mind that these are junior high school students, that they probably want to be introduced to things, but you don't need to go into all the gory details, so to speak. Okay, so it's cutting this one down to size. I don't know what that ethical issue will be, but it's going to have something that you talk about. And so very quickly, as you're doing the reading, you find that, because you have a map of the things that you need to talk about, or the kinds of things you need to talk about, and you have this set of places to put the information as you find it, you can very quickly, just by doing the course reading after preparing this outline, have a script that's pretty much ready to go. You want to go through and take out things like this, and because headings should be in title case, you want to go ahead and format those. But this helps you stay on track and do exactly all the things that the rubric requires you to do in order to get full credit. So let's go ahead and review what we talked about. So we looked specifically at APCO 422's Week 1 Assignment 1, the ethical implications of healthcare policies and regulation. We talked about how to cite key sources for this, namely the specific source that they said, you must cite this one, and how to take the instructions here to develop a list of talking points, which you can write out as full paragraphs, but it's fine if you turn this in bullet point format, because you're asked to present the talking points with the sources and everything to back them up. So in case you were to say have questions in a follow-up, we could say, oh yes, that thing. So we have a video to make, a script to write, and reading to do. If you take the assignment instructions and use that to start making an outline first, then when you do the reading, you will see, oh, I need this information and I need to say where it came from. I have this all planned out in my script. I'm going to put that information there on my talking point list. To expand that, I'm going to cite the source, and then when you go to do the video, now you have all that information in front of you. Now we have many more webinars with the recordings on the Online Writing Center website. If you have a quick question, feel free to send us an email at onlinewritingcenter@acu.edu. If you have a longer set of things you want feedback on, go ahead, sign up for an appointment. And, if in doubt, just send us an email and we'll tell you if it's something that we can answer quickly by answering it. And if it's something that would be more of an appointment level thing, we'll let you know. So check things out on the Online Writing Center website. Schedule an appointment if you want. Send us an email. And with that, good night.